Sorry, that's just anti-trans.
Hey, there we go. Remember Riley J. Dennis? I think she is well, she was found semi-recently playing football, aka soccer, in Australia, and presumably causing grave injuries to actual women. Because of course this person wants to play with women and not men. But yeah, I don't know how many of her classics are like up, because I never watched Riley J. Dennis back in the day. It wasn't my thing. But like, it kind of seems like she did this kind of stuff for a while and then tried to do the same kind of talking about fictional characters and stuff, talking about cartoons and shit like that. And then the last few years, she's been pretty radio silent. But yeah, we got a couple of videos. This one is, What Does Being Offended Even Mean? By Riley J. Dennis. So we got 6 years ago, November 5th, 2018, long time ago. Oh, hi, Mama D. Hope you're good. But yeah, we're going to watch a couple of these and see what's up, I guess.
Hey everyone, so today I want to talk about what it means to be offended. Because depending where you are on the political spectrum, when you hear this word, there's a good chance you think of people on the left being offended, possibly by things you find trivial or nonsensical. And there's a reason so many people have this association with the word offended. It's because people on the right,
People on the right are offended too, just to be clear,
a long time have been using it to insult people on the left. So much so that its meaning as a way to insult liberals and leftists has kind of seeped into the mainstream. But it's not just people on the left who can be offended. I mean, I'm pretty thoroughly leftist, and there's a strong argument to be made that
Can we all be shocked for a moment that this person is thoroughly leftist?
lots and lots of people are offended by my videos. So what does it really mean to be offended? Some people use it to mean they don't like something. Others use it to mean they find something harmful or dangerous. And others use it just to mean that they're upset by something. It has different definitions that mostly seem to change depending on your politics. Leftists who say that offends me often mean that is dangerous and will cause a lot of harm. But
yeah, and then usually not explain in what way it is dangerous and will cause harm, because that kind of thing, you use it really to shut someone up. You're not really actually saying that you find something harmful. You want that person to stop talking about what they're talking about.
right-wing folks and some centrists likely hear that simply as, I don't like that. And those are very different meanings that can lead to two people.
No, I mean, I explained what I hear when I hear that. It's not just not liking something. Like, I understand what offense is, although I think that if you're offended, you should think about why it is you're offended, instead of just using it to shut down conversations, which is what these kind of people do.
People having a conversation that goes nowhere because they aren't properly communicating to each other. Every time one of them says something, the other one hears it in a different way. But the truth is, everyone is offended by something. I don't think there's anyone who's so pleased with the way the world is and with everyone in it that they would never
Oh, hi Jody, I hope you're good.
be offended by anyone or anything. Leftists are offended.
And like, yeah, people talk past each other a lot, but I don't know. I don't really know what a good solution to that is. If you can't get someone to get on your wavelength, that's just how it is sometimes, unfortunately. And I don't know, a lot of people don't seem like they try very hard to be understandable, but I'm not sure. I need to think about that more.
Offended by actions that are being taken to restrict the rights of queer people. People on the right are offended by offended by actions that everyone in it that they were offended by something. I don't think there's anyone who's so pleased with the way the world is and with everyone in it that they would never be offended by anyone or anything. Leftists are offended by actions that are being taken to restrict the rights of queer people. People on
Such as?
On the right are offended by the existence of queer people.
Is that true? Hey, anyone who's watching who's on the right, how offended are you by queer people? Yeah, how offended are you that queer people exist? This is like, it's so easy to talk for the other side, you know?
They just don't call it being offended. Even if you don't think you never get offended, you're probably offended by people who are easily offended. Every time I've called right-wing people offended for something that they were clearly offended over, I get the same like 3 cookie-cutter replies right back. No, I'm not offended. I just don't like that. I just have a problem with it. I just think it's dumb.
Well, maybe they do have a problem with something, and then they can perhaps explain what their problem is. But we're not going to get that if you're just sat here telling people what other people think when you don't know how other people think.
Something like that. But those are all
Queer people make me feel unsafe. I'm at the point now where certain kinds of queer people I do actually feel very anxious to be around. But that's really because of my associations, you know? That's really because of like certain experiences. And I know for a fact, I'm sure there's some so-called queer people that I'd be fine around. It's just, there's stereotypes for a reason, I guess. And I've definitely experienced things myself, you know?
just different ways of saying that you're offended by something. You can say it in a different way.
That is not true either.
But at the end of the day, you're still offended. People put that label on me all the time, saying that I'm offended by X, Y, and Z when I've never said that I am. I've just said that I don't like it or that I have a problem with it. For some
So she says the same thing that the cookie cutter responses are. But like, because you're on opposite sides of the aisle, you just choose to disregard what the other person's saying. Like, it's not exactly an uncommon thing, the idea that, oh, well, when someone comes back at you with how they actually think, just pretend that's not actually how they think. Just pretend that actually you're right and nothing they will say will make any difference, you know?
For some reason, I'm offended and they are not. Sure. But really,
It could go both ways. You've just described it as being the exact same thing each way. So, like, you're doing the same thing.
being offended doesn't inherently mean you're in the wrong or the right. Because for almost everything
That at least I agree with, yeah.
that happens in the world, somebody is offended by it. And sometimes they're right to be offended by it, and sometimes they're not. We only have the rights
We got the arbiter here. The arbiter of offense is here right now. Here we go.
we have today because the people who came before us were offended by the lack of rights they had, and they fought to improve that situation. But on the other
Is that true?
hand, sometimes people get offended by stuff because they're hateful or misinformed. If I say
Yes, that must be it. Like, things haven't changed, have they? 2018. We're just still making up people's thought processes for them. It's like if I said, this person's offended at the idea that someone can think for themselves. I don't know that. I don't know this person. It's so easy to tell people what they think. Best comedy channel on YouTube. Yeah, this was the one time, I guess because she came quite early. This is the one time that one of these like channels doesn't have just fucking ass kissing and ass kissing and ass kissing from little cultists in the comments. Like, if she started this channel 5 years later than what she did, I mean, she'd still get shit for this, but like, there'd be loads of people lavishing on the praise, you know what I'm saying?
I'm a lesbian and that
What I'm trying to say actually is, what is the difference between this and anything that's come since? I'm gonna have the exact same problems with it.
offends you, tough shit. Because that's me. You may be offended by my identity, but I'm allowed to be who I am. The fact that
Your identity. No one cares about your identity, bro. No one even knows what your identity is.
you're offended doesn't mean that anything about me has to change. It just means you need to work on not being offended by my identity.
Well, no, they don't need to do anything. My suggestion is that people should think about why they're offended by things, but they don't need to do anything. Like, you can't just live your life putting the onus on everyone else. You can't just live your life not giving a fuck and expecting everyone else to pick up your slack for you.
And likewise, if I tell you to vaccinate your kids and get your flu shot, and by the way, please vaccinate your kids and get
tell you to vaccinate your kid. Like, why not just butt out of like other people's kids? Oh wait, we're trans. That's not what we do. We don't leave other people's kids alone. We want them to transition and shit. Sorry, I forgot. Oh, hi Amy Skull, I hope you're good. Hi YP as well. Hi Get Some 420.
your flu shot, that's going to offend anti-vaxxers, the people who believe that vaccines are harmful, even though literally all of the evidence is stacked.
Oof. All the evidence. Listen, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but like, why say this? Why just... I don't know. I don't get it, because all the people that come since this do the same shit and get like applauded for it. I think she was just the first one, so she's the one that took all the shit, you know what I mean? Her and that Milo Stewart person. It's mad.
against them. They're offended not because something in the world is truly doing harm.
Like you've picked a side. So every time you're offended, it's correct. And every time someone else is offended, they're wrong. But you've correctly identified that it goes both ways. And that the things that you say when someone accuses you of being offended are exactly the same things that other people say when you accuse them of being offended. So it's like, well, then you just picked a side. I don't know.
Harm, but because they're misinformed. And that's what I mean by being offended doesn't automatically make you wrong or right. Sometimes it's good and compassionate to be offended because you don't want harm to come to you or others. Other times it's just hatred or misinformation that causes people to be offended over nothing. So that's the weird thing about the phrase being offended. It has several different meanings. Everyone feels.
Someone on the right could make this exact video and just change the anti-vax argument to something else. Like, I tell you not to transition your kid or something, you know? It's exactly the same. It's just like partisan hackery.
Feels it, but lots of people think they don't, and it says nothing about whether you're wrong or right or even why you're upset. All of that together is basically why I don't say that I'm offended, ever. I'm sure I have in the past at some point, but for the last, I don't know, couple years or so, I've made a conscious effort not to say I'm offended. The exception is when I'm joking. I feel like I use it sarcastically a lot. The fact that you don't like pineapple on pizza offends me. But when I'm being serious, instead, I say something that more directly gets at how I'm feeling and hopefully conveys my message more effectively and can't be misconstrued. So I'll say that something is harmful or hurtful, or that it furthers oppression or marginalization.
Yep, presumably never with any kind of evidence or like backing anything up. This is like what she's describing is just another way to do the same thing. When you're saying you're offended, most of the time what you're doing is trying to stop the conversation, trying to shut someone up. Telling someone that what they're saying is harmful, which by the way, you have to like evidence harm. Otherwise that's meaningless. Anything could be harmful if you decide it is, you know? But it's just another way of telling someone to shut up. So this whole, I don't know if I want to call it a virtue signal, like, oh, I don't say that I'm offended anymore. Well, you say the same thing in as many words. Only this time you're trying to put more, you're trying to make out that like whatever the other person is saying is like way worse than it is potentially. That's even worse. You're actually like going backwards, if anything.
You don't like pineapple on pizza offends me. But when I'm being serious,
God bless fucking Twitter humor.
Instead, I say something that more directly gets at how I'm feeling and hopefully conveys my message more effectively and can't be misconstrued. So I'll say that something is harmful or hurtful, or that—
How can that be not able to be misconstrued when the words that you're saying are completely like subjective and the meaning differs from one person to another as to what you're saying with that? Oh, hi Nick Grimes. Hi Gypsy Lee also. Yep, we're watching Riley Dennis. We got more old school fun after this. And I don't know why my voice is horribly distorted. We're just rolling with it. I don't know what the fuck happened to all my stuff. But hey.
That it furthers oppression or marginalization, or that it's racist or homophobic, whatever particular thing I don't like. I try to basically explain why I don't like it. I try to focus—
That's not a she, though. Well, I don't know. Clearly, by calling this man a she, we are encouraging this insanity. I mean, I'm talking to a video that can't hear me. Dress how you like, but you're still a man. People should respect that line. Yeah, people can call me what they want. And I just call people what I see. If I call someone a she or I call someone a he, there really isn't that much meaning behind it. It's just what I see. So I prefer if people just kind of ignore what pronouns I use because it's a bit tiresome, like trying to explain myself every fucking time. You know, what I'm saying is like, if we don't want to live in a world where every time we get the slightest thing wrong about someone's identity, we get fucking lectured over it. That's not less annoying coming from one side than the other. I genuinely do want to just cut through that. And it doesn't matter whether I'm being told that I'm calling someone she when I shouldn't be by a TRA or a gender critical. But anyway, this guy likes to beat women. Not really. Do you have like anything to back that up? Because I'm not trying to spread shit about people. Okay, shows his violent side. Is this to do with sports still? Okay, right, fair enough. But yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't mind. Listen, no one has to call me a she or a he or a they or literally anything, because I just don't give a shit. But like, if I'm constantly being corrected all the time, it doesn't actually matter which side it's coming from. It's going to be annoying either way. And pronouns aren't even a big deal. Like, we're not invoking... Yeah, the soccer part I knew about, and that's what that article seemed to be about. I'm not for males in women's sports. It could cause serious injury. I fully agree with that. In general. Not you, but I mean in general, I don't think it's helping to... I'm not coercively controlling anyone. I'm not calling Riley J. Dennis a she because this person would have wanted me to, or whatever. I just say what I see. But yeah, where were we?
Focus on its impact and what it will do to people. And like, we shouldn't have to do this. We should be able to say that we're offended and explain why and have people listen to us. But often in conversation...
Yeah, but no one ever explains why. That's the problem. It's just, I don't like what you're saying. What you're saying is harmful or whatever. Most of the time people say that because they want someone to shut up. They don't want that person to talk about that.
Or arguments, people will shut down if you say that you're offended, simply because it's become such a buzzword with an implied meaning of being irrational. So it sucks that we've lost a word that could convey how we felt about harmful stuff, but I just personally don't ever find it useful anymore. In every instance where I could say I'm offended, there's a better way for me to say that. A way that will actually have people listen to me instead of shutting down. And if you're...
Oh, hey, Hope. I'm pretty close to stopping pronouns altogether. Sometimes I just want to never use pronouns because... whatever I do, people are going to bitch about it, and I just don't give a fuck. It's annoying whoever says it, like, I just want people to shut the fuck up and leave me alone. Honestly. Not dating trans people is transphobic. Yeah, I saw something, I don't think it was on hers, but I think there was a reaction video by someone else. It's relatives telling someone else which word they should use coercive. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just say what I see. I'm not telling anyone else how to live their life. I'm getting on with it.
You're trying to have a conversation with someone and convince them that something is bad, you want them to be open to listening to you. So my little bit of advice to you is to drop that word from your vocabulary. Yeah,
use worse words and tell them that they're being harmful or being racist or being bigoted instead. Like, yeah, amazing.
Hasn't solved all of my issues with communicating ideas to people, obviously, but I do think it's helped. And you're by no means obligated to do this. If you want to say that you're offended, go for it. I'll support you in that. But this is just...
Oh, hi, Pablo. Ink searcher. Yep, this is Riley Dennis.
Just one little thing that I thought I might share with you in case you want to use it. Obviously, not all arguments are had for the sole purpose of convincing the other person in the most effective way possible. Sometimes you're just angry or sad or hurt, and that's okay. This is just an option I'm laying out for you in case you want it. So yeah, offended isn't a very useful word anymore. And now right-wing folks are doing a similar thing to triggered, which is a real, genuine...
Hi, James. Hi, Hampopper. Hi, OMW. I don't think I said hi. Also, hi, Nat Trevi.
Term in psychology that refers to things that cause a person to relive some form of trauma. Triggers are a very term anymore. And now right-wing folks are doing a similar thing to triggered, which is a real, genuine term in psychology that refers to things that cause a person to relive some form of trauma. Triggers
the humanity
are a very serious thing. And now that word is being co-opted by the right.
Yeah, because people are like, oh, that triggers me. You can't, it's the same shit. Like, why would people even be talking about, like, being triggered? Oh, that triggers me. That's the stupidest thing you can say in, like, a fucking online fight. I don't understand. Jarring when someone calls a trans woman a he when they look like a she just because they disagree with calling a trans person their preferred pronouns. Yeah, I mean, I'm just getting used to any pronoun being for basically anyone. Maybe that's the easiest way. Maybe what I should do is just every single person I see, I just go through she, he, they, she, he, they, she, he, they, and just make sure I do each one evenly so that no one's offended in either direction. Maybe that's the way. Not the world job's to make you comfortable. If you've got triggers, that's your job to navigate around. Yes, true. You got to look after yourself. No one else is going to look after your mental health for you, ultimately. You have to be the one looking after yourself. You know, if you've got trauma, you need to be that trauma's bodyguard, because ain't no other fucking person doing that, you know what I mean?
To have the same useless derogatory meaning as offended. And with that catching on in the mainstream, it makes it harder for...
But people use it in the same way. What does she mean? Like, derogatory, useless, like, yeah, these are words people use because they want the other person to stop talking. The policing seems to be the problem. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know. People need to care less. Me, I don't find pronouns triggering, but I find it confusing because it sounds like agreement. Like if I kept referring to an anorexic as a fatty in a conversation about them, just weird. I don't know. Everyone's going to feel differently. I'm just desensitized to the whole thing. Gendered pronouns for inanimate objects. Yeah. I'm kind of glad we don't, I think, but hey.
For people to discuss their legitimate psychological triggers without being mocked. Like, I know language evolves and changes constantly, and in the long run, it's useless to try and stop it, but it still sucks to see the right wing so effectively move their derogatory language into the mainstream. And I think it's important that we fight back on it to some degree.
Is that what's happened? What the fuck is she talking about? Sounds like yet another person who probably doesn't know any right-wingers, probably has arguments with them and assumes that the few that she comes across, that's what all of them are like. Because, you know, generalizing is cool and everyone does it now. Oh, hi, Asayaki. Thank you. Pronoun card game. If you use the wrong pronoun, you just blame the game. True. How do they decide is a lamp is feminine or masculine? I actually don't know. I actually don't know what the rules are.
If you care about protecting those with psychological triggers that force them to relive past trauma, don't.
Psychological triggers? Like, what situation are we talking about exactly? Like, let's say you're having a Twitter argument with someone. No, I don't give a fuck about someone's psychological triggers when they can just step away from the conversation, when they can just turn their phone off, or, I don't know, flip to a different app and use that for a bit instead. Why is it so important to coddle people?
Say triggered when you mean offended. There are a bunch of other ways you could say that phrase, and we could shape language to evolve in a different.
Yes, let's language police people. That's gonna work so well. Hint, did not work well, but we still do it.
Better way, because I know that language never stays static, but we can at least nudge it along a kinder path. Anyway, that's all.
A kinder path, nice. Yeah, maybe everyone should be Zizir from now on to me. I'll see how long it takes before everyone hates me. I don't know. I think it would be quite funny to insist on using like she, him, their pronouns, if you know what I mean. Like use a bit of each and insist on rigidly only answering to those pronouns, you know, around like SJW types. I reckon that'd be hilarious. Because you know that they won't fucking get it right.
All I had for you today. If you'd like to support the production of future videos like these and also be my favorite person ever, you can click over here.
In dab. Anyway, that's the first one. We've got one more. We've got the real reason social media is hurting your mental health. Amazing. Okay, these comments are a bit kinder for some reason. Can't tell if this is zero. It says, my duty to know what's going on. I shouldn't live in ignorance because of my privilege. Okay, sure, bro. Anyway. Social media, Riley J. Dennis. Let's have a look. Feeling very anti-trans. I'm always anti-trans. That's just my thing. And also, I wanted to shake it up a bit because I didn't feel like yesterday's stream was that good. So, hey. Muted again. Oh, nice. They're all going to be muted, and I'm going to forget every time. I do apologize. Anyway.
Hey everyone, today we're talking about the effect that social media has on your mental health. Don't worry, this won't be an evening news, this new study says your kids are miserable kind of thing. Instead, it'll be more like an examination of the often overlooked detrimental factors that play a role in social media. Because there are some very common arguments against social media, mostly by older people who don't understand social media and don't like it, but that's not what this is.
Why does she talk like this? Mostly by older people? Like... I hate this kind of shit, man. Like, BreadTube has so much to answer for.
Media mostly by older people who don't understand social media and don't like it, but that
you gotta be judgmental about someone in your video that's supposed to be like positivity and like kindness. You know what I mean? Like, fuck off. You're no better than the people you don't like. Be real.
That's not what this is. In fact, there are lots of aspects of social media that are extremely positive. It creates a place of community and allows people to find each other who never otherwise would have. Especially for folks from marginalized identities like queer people, it can be life-changing in a positive.
What's a marginalized identity? So if you identify as something that can make you marginalized, you can just decide to be marginalized. What the fuck is a marginalized identity? That does not make any sense to me. I don't think queer is a marginalized group because I don't know what the definition for queer even is. People like this one are like, yep, it is how it is.
Positive way. But like any tool, social media identities like queer people, it can be life-changing in a positive way. But like any tool, social media has its good and its bad. Today we'll mostly be talking about the bad. So the common arguments you hear about the negative effects of social media probably go something like this.
When you see everyone's perfect lives on Instagram, it makes you sad that your life isn't that perfect. Everyone's only posting online for followers now, and it consumes their every waking thought. People have record low self-esteem because they feel like they aren't as attractive as Instagram models. Your children are addicted to Snapchat and Twitter to the point that they never go outside. People only communicate through apps now and never see each other face to face.
Some of those arguments have a good point. I definitely don't want to say that social media is perfect in every way. I just think these arguments, for the most part, are overhyped.
I don't think those are the first arguments I'd come to. Honestly, nowadays, I'd say that online communication in general, you risk these like echo chambers forming. And that's exactly what's happened. I would be amazed if she starts talking about echo chambers. I'd be pleasantly surprised, to be honest. But I don't know. There's a huge amount of problems. Like, it made the world much more small. And you can find other people. Like, you're trans. There's not necessarily going to be other trans people around. You want to meet some people that have a similar experience to you. And then what ends up happening is you just stop talking to anyone that isn't trans because you've got this like friend group now and they understand you in a way others don't. And then you end up all going insane because there's no one there to moderate anyone.
Social media have a negative effect on people's self-esteem? Yeah, sometimes it does, but other times it can have a positive effect. You can find studies that point to all kinds of different results here, so what it seems to me is that social media doesn't inherently have a positive or negative effect on self-esteem. Instead, it depends on who you follow. When people follow celebrities with way more money than them who don't look like them, it can make them feel worse about themselves. But when people follow their friends and family and people who look more like them, social media doesn't have that same effect. In fact, following people who
This is a bit simplistic. I don't know how much I disagree, but it's very simplistic. I mean, it's not just who you follow, it's what kind of person you are. Like, if you're not very envious a person and you follow a lot of people that are like showing off their like perfect lives and shit, then you're probably fine. It depends what kind of person you are.
who look like you can help your self-esteem because you can say, look, I think they're hot and my body is similar to theirs. And the wonderful thing about social media, as opposed to like media in general, is that you can choose to follow only people from certain niches who look like you. If you're
Wait, hang on. Wait. I want to make sure I'm being fair. I just want to make sure I'm being fair. Before I say anything,
hot and my body is similar to theirs. And the wonderful thing about social media, as opposed to like media in general, is that you can choose to follow only people from certain niches who look like you.
do I need to say anything? This is exactly what I mean. Yeah, just follow very specific kinds of people. Only ever hear certain kinds of opinions. Words fail me. It almost seems like she is very happy for echo chambers to form and has probably honestly benefited from that kind of shit a fair amount, seeing as she got a pretty decent amount of subscribers out of this. We got a Patreon. Like, is it still active? I don't know. How do I find out if it's active or not? Like, the last update was 2021. Is she still taking money? I mean, here's the thing I will point out. Many of these leftist types, they don't tell you how much money they're making because they don't want you to think that they might be rich or something. You look nothing like me. Okay, that's probably good for you, to be honest. What is not understanding social media? What is there to understand? I'm not sure. I think she's trying to explain, but she seems fine with the whole echo chamber thing, and, well, 6 years ago, 2018, I'm sure it was already a problem. It only ever became more of a problem, and now trans people are, like, far more loopy than this fucking person is.
If you're trans, you can follow a bunch of trans people. If you're not thin, you can follow other people who aren't thin. If you're a person of color, you can follow...
And, like, are we not promoting the idea of, like, segregating yourself, of, like, you know, this kind of tribalistic thing. Oh, just be around people that look like you. Isn't that something we've been trying to get away from? Like, don't judge a book by its cover. Don't look at someone and because they look different from you, instantly think they're this, that, and the other. And like, how far is she going to go with this? She's going to be like, oh, if you're a white person, just follow lots of white people. Silly. People having lower self-esteem, comparing themselves to influencers. Same issue with people in magazines. Yeah. That was a huge, there's been a lot of like discourse about shit like that. Didn't Riley move to Australia? Yeah, she's a women's football player. Oh, hi, Amanda Meanwich. I hope you're good. Yeah, so she seems happy with the idea of people going off and forming echo chambers, which is misguided. You want to talk about harmful? There you go. You have to answer for your own harmful shit, but you're not going to. Because good luck trying to convince anyone like this that they ever say anything harmful or difficult or, you know, what's the word? Controversial. But yeah, fuck me. Encouraging echo chambers, ironically, is like harmful because you risk those people secluding themselves off and like the rest of the world becoming alien to them. And then all their ideas and like discourse and stuff starts fucking flying off into the distance because no one else is there to like moderate it. So yeah, there's a lot of problems with what she's saying here.
Other people of color. That way you're seeing lots of
other people of color, but what about white people? Should white people like try and follow lots of white people? What do you think about that? What do you think about that exactly? Come on, let's finish the circle. She's not going to.
People who look like you in a way that mainstream forms of media usually can't provide. Social media has the potential to help your self-esteem. It just depends on how you use it. And I don't want to put this solely on people who use social media. It's also—
Why is it even so important to find people that look like you? Why are we so obsessed with like representation? I find that whole thing extremely narcissistic. Like, I don't always care. I mean, I don't really ever care, honestly, whether I watch something that has people that look like me in it, which I guess would be trans people. But like, I'll watch anything that takes my interest. I'll watch stuff about black people. I'm not black. I'll watch stuff about like Muslims or like Sikhs or something. I'm not either of them. I don't know why we're so obsessed with the idea of representation, except because we want to fucking change the culture, I guess. Oh, hey, Paggy. Yeah, it seems narcissistic to me. And the other thing is, like, with like stuff like queer and non-binary, you know, slightly more nebulous thing, are they looking for representation or are they looking for inspiration? And are they looking for something to actually define this shit? You know what I mean? Because if someone's in a movie and they're non-binary, that kind of defines something. That's something to copy, you know? I don't know which way around it goes, you know? Black white doesn't represent me in the slightest. You're both part of the trend. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't look at this and see representation. Really, the only kind of representation that I care about is, I guess, people representing shit that I find sensible. But like, I don't want to watch things that people look like me. Oh, thank Vivian. Thank you for subscribing. Yeah, I mean, me and Riley J. Dennis don't look all that different in plenty of ways. But I'm not looking for people that look like me. And it's a weird tribalistic, like, view. I'm surprised that people were down with this, honestly. Like, this is what we were supposed to be moving away from with, like, the whole multiculturalism thing and the whole, you know, diversity is our strength thing. Apparently not, according to Riley J. Dennis. Holy shit.
also largely influenced by what the algorithms of these social media apps are recommending to you. So there's definitely ways for social media to improve there, for sure. But I don't think it's the big bad evil that it's often hyped to be. And to briefly touch on those other arguments, I think—
Yeah, the reason she thinks that is because she thinks that echo chambers are a good thing, and they're not, so...
that older generations will always be afraid of new things. When books came out, people thought they would cause everyone to stay inside and read all day. When TV came out, everyone thought the same thing. And now people are just picking on social media because it's the newest thing young people like that's popular to hate on.
That's stupid. That's not why people are doing it. People usually have like specific issues that they take with things. But in this day and age, what we do is try and convince people, oh no, none of those people that disagree with you have any arguments. They just hate the new thing. It's lazy thinking. And this is also pretty harmful because we're encouraging other people to do that same lazy thinking. Someone disagrees, oh, well, they just hate the new thing. You know what I mean? So it's a hand wave. Like, we're not presented any arguments really, except right at the start, which are kind of made up. Gen X was so against labels. This generation wants all the labels. Yeah, I don't know why there isn't a middle ground where, like, yeah, we probably need to have words for things, but every tiny little thing, like, does everything need to be like metal subgenres where you've got black and death metal and fuck knows what else? I don't even listen to metal. I just look like I do. Do we need that shit? I don't know.
Will always be afraid of new things. When books came out, people thought they would cause everyone to stay inside and read all day. When TV came out, everyone thought the same thing. And now people are just picking on social media because it's the newest thing young people like that's popular to hate on.
Yeah, that's stupid. That's a terrible argument.
People still go outside. People still interact face to face.
Like, if I was doing a debate bro thing, I'd say that that's like bad faith. Because you're just assuming that they don't actually care about what they say they're caring about. They're just saying thing bad because young people. And that's literally the definition of bad faith. So, hey. I would be insufferable if I just hung around goths all the time. Well, more insufferable. Fair enough.
None of that is going away anytime soon. The only difference is now we have online ways of organizing to meet up in real life with people we actually like. So none of that, I would say, ways of face. None of that is going away anytime soon. The only difference is now we have online ways of organizing to meet up in real life with people we actually.
Is that what people are doing with the internet? Sure, bro. Don't think I agree, but sure.
Like. So none of that, I would say, is the main reason social media is hurting your mental health. The biggest reason, honestly, is something that I see discussed sometimes, but not very often. It's the fact that thanks to social media, we're seeing so much depressing, negative, painful news day in and day out.
Okay, so stuff you can hide, stuff you can tune out of fairly easily. Oh, hi, Gandalf Grey 01. Hope you're good.
Before social media came around, all this stuff still happened. Bad stuff has always happened, obviously. But before, we didn't have a way of perceiving all of that at once. We'd read about it every now and then in a newspaper or see a couple stories.
This is really dumb. I hope this is clear. Like, what the fuck is she saying? You see bad news? Yeah, just block the fucking news outlets then. Just hide this shit until you stop seeing it. Oh, folks are jealous because you skipped neck day. True.
Stories about it on the evening news. Dealing with negative news stories is a fact of life, but social media has taken that and amplified it to its extreme. When you wake up and check Twitter, you likely see tons of stories about awful things.
This is the most white people problems shit I have ever heard in my life.
That have happened in the world. All day as you scroll through, even if a lot of your timeline is positive, negative news stories are chipping away at you all day. Then when you go to sleep, they're likely one of the last things you see as you scroll through your phone before bed. A certain group's civil rights have been
Is this person for real? What the fuck?
Likely one of the last things you see as you scroll through your phone before bed. A certain group's civil rights have been taken away. A terrible human.
Oh, which group? Which group? I wonder.
And has been appointed to a high political position. A person is raising money so that they can try not to die from a preventable illness. A war continues to be fought and civilians are killed. Most people see this stuff all over their timelines. And even when people don't see this stuff everywhere, they can feel guilt over not being informed enough about these things.
Okay, are you teaching people that they should make time for themselves and not obsess over this shit? What are you doing to help those people?
So it's kind of a catch-22 where you're always miserable. Human brain.
This is so dumb. Why not just hide shit if you don't like it? Why not just curate your feed? Why not just log out when you're getting a bit stressed at something and do something else? This shouldn't be affecting you that badly. I'm sorry. Like, you gotta look after yourself. You gotta be responsible enough with your own mental health to understand that there's some kinds of content that are just not for you and you shouldn't be consuming. And that maybe you should take steps to not have that kind of shit in your feed. But I don't know.
Brains aren't meant to deal with so much negative news at once. We can deal with bad things happening occasionally. We can have hope and we can see that there is good in the world. But negative stories, so much.
You're allowed to not care. Yes, exactly. And that is actually a helpful thing for mental health, is to be able to not care some of the time. Something kind of ironic about this person explaining the dangers of social media on mental health. True.
more often make the news because they're more likely to be one-time events than anything positive, since positive things tend to happen more slowly over time. And then those negative stories evoke an emotional response in us and get us to share them, so they reach more people.
Wait, why do you share like negative news? So you're just saying that like negative news is a problem and it stresses people out, and now you're saying that we're like, why would you be sharing it then? I don't know. I don't get it. Are people just compelled? Are people just punching themselves in the face, and then when you ask them why they're punching themselves in the face, they just say they can't stop. This is just what they're compelled to do. And it doesn't matter how much you hold their fucking arm in place. They're just gonna fucking yank it away and start punching themselves in the face again. Is that what this is?
And then we're all swimming in all this depressing news. And again, I'm not trying to say that it's social media users who are at fault here. We share things that tug at our heartstrings for good reasons. We want the world to know about—
Oh, it's a good... What? So it's stressing people out, but we do it for good reasons. Like, why is it necessary? What are you doing by sharing a piece of news? It's like the people that insist on fucking everyone soying out about Palestine on the internet. It's like, what are you actually doing with this? Apart from depressing people. You know what I mean? And then insisting that everyone else do the same shit that you are. Looks like you're bad. Oh, do you have a right to? Fair enough.
About negative things so that we can change them, because you can't change something you're unaware of. I think there's nothing wrong with wanting to talk about the bad stuff happening in the world so that we can fix it. But when all we see—
Yeah, that's why people talk about the bad stuff in the world on social media, so they can fix it. What? What has been fixed on social media? Is this person like a massive Palestine cult person now? Where I'm from Israel, all we've been hearing for the last 2 years is bombs and death. They have no idea what's actually going on. Yeah, that's what I mean. This is like white people problems as shit. Also, hi Lisa, hope you're good. Oh, it's just messy, okay. Is this even her bed or like a couch or something? I can't tell.
All day is a constant deluge of negative news stories. It can take a toll on our mental health. People may not want to admit it, but it's difficult to see so much bad stuff happening in the world.
Yeah, that's why you log off from time to time. That's why you do something else. That's why you curate your feed. That's why, I don't know, one thing I used to do when I was younger, because I didn't like seeing all like the transphobic and like homophobic shit some people come out with. Bear in mind, this was a while ago. So like, I'd end up just blocking all of the, like the LGBT news sources, because all the comments under there would just be like brutal. And I'm like, I don't really want to see that shit. It makes me feel a bit shit. So I blocked all of them and I was fine. It's like, I don't know. It wasn't a big deal to me. Oh, I can't even read LGBT news because I thought most of the outlets were terrible anyway. It's just like, you just sort your own shit out. If you don't like certain things in your feed, then block those sources, you know? It's not difficult. Like in 2018, I don't know if everything was like every 4 things as an advert like it is now, but I can't remember. My prediction we were leaving NATO was called Paranoid by everyone. Yeah, he announced it now. Okay, fair enough. The taste and touch of a woman is absent from this residence. What, your one or this one? I mean, this one definitely, unless she's with an actual woman or something. Or was at the time.
World and not feel at least a little down about it. For many, it can be debilitating. And really, I don't know what
Debilitating? Then sort your shit out. Then deal with the problem. Like, I cannot empathize with this at all, because it's just the most self-inflicted shit ever. You gotta know your limits with like social media and stuff. That's just how it is.
Solution is here. I think one piece of it could be adjusting social media algorithms, because large chunks—
they've got to change. It's always they've got to change and not do this and it'll make it easier. You know what I mean? Social media is a requirement. I would be willing to bet, maybe not this person, but at least one person around is thinking that like social media is like a human right or something. You know what I mean? Infuriating, they spread misinformation, we get beat up, jumped just for being Israeli or Jewish, and they get to log off and complain. Yeah, I can imagine. Listen, I'm British, I'm white, I've never lived anywhere near like a war or anything like that, so I don't know what it's like. I just try and not make these kind of insane, like, privileged claims personally. My radiator is the most femme-coded radiator in the world, fair enough. Pink News had their face eaten by leopards. Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. They've been backing off a bit. They've been backing off the trans shit, and then people on Twitter and stuff were going insane. It's like, what do you expect? Everyone fucking hates us. Oh, hi, libturds. Oh, my Jovan video. Yeah. I need to watch more of him at some point. I agree. Good to see you. It is cold here, for sure. But I don't mind the cold. I actually hate the hot weather. People shouldn't support these people because they aren't loyal. Yeah, these people are insane. A lot of these people, they're just like children. They want unconditional support. They see themselves as this beaten down, fucking marginalized group. I don't even know if I can call like trans like a marginalized like minority or anything like that. I don't know if it even qualifies.
Of what we see now aren't decided solely by us, but by an invisible algorithm that guesses what will keep you on the app for the longest amount of time. Often they find that stories that evoke a strong emotional...
Yeah, you can influence that, you know what I mean? You can influence that. For example, if someone wants to watch my videos and wants more of them in their feed, if they watch a bunch of my videos, it'll start recommending more. You can influence this shit. Why am I not surprised that there is zero practical advice here and just being like, well, they could fix it if they did this, and then they don't fix it, because believe it or not, fucking Facebook and Twitter and shit weren't looking at fucking video essayists for their recommendations on how to run their fucking social media. Like, I'm sorry.
response, do that the best, even if that response is anger or extreme sadness. But even if changes were made to the algorithms that show us the content we consume, I don't think that would fix everything.
Yeah, that Jovan Bradley guy, he's another debate bro that talks about trans issues, even though he's not trans. It seems to be a lot of them just hop on the easiest issues and the most popular issues. So they'll talk about abortion and they'll talk about trans rights. That particular guy apparently talks about communism being better than capitalism. Amazing. To be honest, it's not fucking 2019 anymore, and I have no fucking desire to watch shit like that again myself. But good luck to him. I'll probably make fun of him for... Apparently he's way worse with, like, women that call in or something, which is interesting, But yeah, I'm sure I'll find out more as soon as possible. But hey, he's in there with, Alec Gunter, Xander Howe, who doesn't even debate anymore. All those kind of people.
Everything. And so I don't have all the answers here. This video isn't about fixing social media. It's about how you can cope in a world where this is a reality. So what?
Wait, what can you do? Okay, listen. Maybe I spoke too soon. She might actually give some helpful recommendations. Let's see. Let's be good faith. Let's be optimistic. A grifter. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's easy. He gives me the impression he doesn't actually care about those kind of things all that much, and it's much more about ego. Because he'll happily, hear someone speak and then pick out the bits that he can, jump on, rather than having a conversation that's going anywhere. You know what I mean? He's downright mean to women. He shows... Yeah. I'll have to watch something at some point. I try not to do multiple streams, in a row on the same person, because then the content gets a bit stale, but definitely... I think I've got at least one thing that I need to watch at some point, because I think it'll exemplify. And also I'm really interested in male debate bros, talking about TERFs and stuff, Oh, hi, James Latter. We're actually talking about Riley Dennis, but we were also talking about Jovan Bradley. I'm not sure how his name is pronounced.
What can you do? Well, the first major thing you can do is go offline more. I know I'm gonna sound...
True, okay, well done. But people aren't gonna listen, because social media is like crack to a lot of people.
Like some anti-technology old person here, but going offline can be so beneficial. Not because you're tied to a screen or not getting human interaction or...
Yeah, I want to change minds. I fail to see how the debate bro shit is gonna work that way. I'll have debates with someone if that's what they want to do, but I'm much more interested in it being more conversational and not about just hypocrisy hunting and picking any tiny inconsistency out of something that I can so that I'm right, and leading people down an extremely narrow and extremely defined to me path, you know what I mean? Which is very much what I experienced when I talked to Alec Gunter. So, I don't know. Yeah, if you want to see me get debate broed, I spoke to Alec Gunter a while ago. That's on my channel. Also, by the way, have you liked the stream? You should like the stream. You can go on my links as well. You can support the stream on Streamlabs. You can super chat. You can subscribe to me on Twitch. I'm monetized there, but not YouTube at the moment. You can also check out my music, which you can buy or stream, or both, or neither. And you can check out my Discord.
Or whatever, but because then you're not seeing all this terrible stuff all the time. And I think one of the best things you can do to cope with so much negative news is just to not see it. And I know that's hard. I know you might feel a lot of guilt about not always knowing everything that's happening.
No, don't. Listen, she's right, but then it's not like you feel guilt. Why do you feel guilt? Oh, I feel guilty that I didn't read a fucking Pink News article about a trans woman that was misgendered. Like, anyway.
Happening. The only advice I can give you there is that you need to take care of yourself if you ever want to have an impact on these things in the future.
Why are we talking about it like we're trying to have an impact on anything? We're talking about social media. Like, why would anyone be going on social media for the purpose of making an impact on something? Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, I don't know. I agree, because it's like, hang on, let me just get it again, because I do agree.
Hard. I know you might feel a lot of guilt about not is just to not see it. And I know that's hard. I know you might feel a lot of guilt about not always knowing everything that's
Oh, thank you so much, Libtards.
happening. The only advice I can give you there is that you need to take care of yourself if you ever want to have an impact on these things in the future.
Like, it's not about having an impact on things. It's just about, like, people shouldn't be made to feel guilty if they're not trying to make a difference. It shouldn't be about that. Like, social media isn't a fucking, what's the word? Social action fucking site or whatever. Collective action. I don't fucking know. But, and the other thing is, like, we shouldn't be even entertaining the idea that people should feel guilty for tuning that shit out. Of course people should tune that shit out. People have other things to do, ultimately. Like, people have concerns in their immediate areas and things to do in their immediate areas. And if they're just obsessing over Palestine, for example, all day, that they're going to neglect. Ultimately, what's around you is kind of the most important thing at basically any given time. Like, why would we be making people feel guilty?
If this stuff takes such a toll on you and burns you out, you won't be able to do anything about it. You need...
That's not even... You won't be able to do anything about... Who cares about whether you can do anything about anything? You know what I mean? Just use social media. Like, what is this angle? Like, the thing is, she's not really wrong about a lot of this stuff, but what is this angle?
need time to recharge mentally before going back out there. It's good
Going back out there, what? To read fucking articles? What is this angle?
Want to change the world for the better, but that's going to be hard to do if you lose hope. So I think a necessary part of fighting for change is taking a minute every once in a while to stop and take care of yourself. Go outside, don't go
fucking hell.
on social media, go hang out with people, or play a sport, or play video games, or read a book, or whatever you want. Just give yourself a minute to not be stressed out by every bad thing happening in the world. And
No, it's not even that. If social media is stressing you out, just turn it off. Social media should not be stressing you out.
secondly, find people that you can talk to about all of this. And by that, I mean find some good friends who understand what you're talking about and can help distract you when you need that. But also, find a therapist. Talking to a professional who knows about coping strategies and how to deal with negative news.
Yeah, talk to your therapist about your social media addiction, I guess. Oh, I'm not in a good place, Doc. Facebook's really stressing me out. I keep seeing these like videos about places nowhere near here, and I feel bad because like I can't do anything. It's like, oh my God, just stop. This is why I can never be a therapist, because I couldn't take shit like this seriously. And I feel like, I bet like this is a large amount of what therapists have to listen to all fucking day. Nowadays, anyway.
News can be so helpful. You can't do this alone. You need the help of other people to get
Do what? You're just living your life. Social media is a way you can keep in touch with people a bit easier and like find new things and new people, sure. Why are we centering it as if it's like some kind of activism hub? Like, I don't know. It's so weird. Giving the best advice for the wrong reasons. Yeah, I feel the same way. I Need for Speed. I hope you're good.
through this. And really, that's all the advice I can give you. I don't think anyone has figured out fully how to cope with this stuff or fix it. The best thing you can do is unplug and talk to your friends and ideally a therapist as well. So that's really...
Oh, it's so weird. It's just so weird. It's not that I disagree with a lot of it, it's just weird.
all there is to it. I do want to point out though that this isn't the only reason social media can be harmful. Like I said in the beginning, I think social media can do a lot of good, but it can also open the floodgates for online bullying and harassment, which, depending on your experience online...
Yes, especially if you invite it onto yourself. How often do you hear people like Brianna Wu complaining about harassment? She brings it onto herself. And if you act like a cunt on the internet, people are gonna respond in kind. But we're not gonna suggest people don't act like complete fucking entitled retards on the internet. No, just, oh, bullying's bad. Okay, amazing.
Online could be another component of how social media is affecting your mental health. So
and you can still log out, and you can still just you can still just block people that are causing you a problem.
constant stream of negative news isn't the only downside to social media, even though I think it's probably one of the most major ones. Anyway, that's all I had for you today. If you would like to...
Oh, so there are actually loads of them. She just only had time to talk about one. Amazing. Amazing.
help me make more videos like this one, I could really use your support over on Patreon. You could even have your name listed in the description as one of the people who help make these videos possible. If you'd like to check out my Patreon and possibly support this channel, you can click over here, and if you're new here and would like to subscribe, you can click up here. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
There we go, Riley Dennis. Have you been educated? Do you feel educated yet? Are you gonna be able to use social media without stress now? I hope so, because Riley J. Dennis just helped you.